KWAME, thank you so much for coming on board the Transatlantic. I've been following you for a while. I love your work, and it would have been my mistake not to have you here at Transatlantic. So welcome, and thank you
Oh
so
man,
much.
thank you. I am honored to be here and I'm excited to spend some time talking with you.
Thank you, man. So as you know, at Transatlantic, we believe that each of us is an ocean. And I'm very convinced that you are a beautiful ocean. So I'm here today to cross your ocean through the 7 questions, like the 7 seas. And hopefully we can give like peeps back home in Italy and in Europe and across the States, a vision of you that many don't know. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready and I'm gonna be as open and honest as I can be.
Honest, honest. That's awesome, man. Okay, look, first question. Some superstitious captain avoids sailing on a certain days. Now, like, I don't know if you know this, but Fridays is a bad day to sail. So never sail on Friday. And guess what? Thursday is the same. Some of them avoid sailing on Thursday because normally that's when like storms and big waves happen. So you are one of the co-founder of an organization that has a day of the week in the name, Saturday mornings, and is a very beautiful, meaningful, and heavy staff organization because try to fight the bias and the racial injustice that we have in the advertising business. So my question for you is, since this organization started, how many bad days did you have so far?
Good question. I'll be honest and say none in the traditional context. Of course, there are days where things are complicated or difficult, or you're dealing with challenging personalities, or you're having a hard time delivering on a project. But these are all things that we know well and that we eventually navigate and we overcome. I feel like there hasn't been a bad day because the work that we're doing is so important and it's so meaningful. We are taking these amazing skills that we have gained working on global brands, and we're using creativity to help create a conversation about racial bias and injustice in our world. And our ambition is to have a positive impact and to ultimately create change. And I feel lucky to be able to do that. And I feel, even more lucky to be able to do it with my co-founders. So I don't think there's been a bad day in a traditional sense. And I would argue that, you mentioned some captains don't sail on certain days of the week. I think those are the days of the week where we want to sail because it's important that we're out there and that we're doing something positive to impact the conversation.
That's awesome because your co-captain are amazing people. You guys are 4 amazing people. Like, one of the biggest fan of your organization, like Saturday mornings. I remember when it launched. I remember, and I know, as I told you, like before getting on this episode, I know like your co-founder, like Jimmy, Keith, and like, Jeff, and like, they're all like amazing people. Like, so grateful to have this organization in our industry. So thank you so much from the bottom of my ocean, like to you guys for what you guys have been doing. Great. Second question. Apple, Nike, Uniqlo, Stella Artois, Budweiser, Captain Morgan, General Mills, and I can continue, so on. In transatlantic terms, you are one of those captains who has sailed many boats and led multiple crews and accumulated infinite stories. If there was a story that you were to pass on to a young sailor that's about to start a journey in advertising, what would that be?
That story would definitely be get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And to me, that's probably the commonality amongst all the experiences. There are very few things in my career that I have done more than once. And I say that to say it's important for you to be a pioneer and do what's never been done before and try. Get yourself out there, get uncomfortable, take some risks, make some mistakes. because that's how you learn and that's how you have a rich experience. And when I made that comment earlier about never having done anything twice, what I meant by that is, in terms of creative projects and outputs, I always enjoyed being in a place where I was working on innovation and working on projects that had never been done before, and being one of the people who figured it out. And it was never perfect, and it was often very messy. But to me, that was what was exciting about it, was being one of the first people to figure out how to do augmented reality and put it on a cereal box, or to create a large scale global culinary experiential platform for Stella Artois, and have that manifest in 5 cities around the globe. I think projects like that take a lot and they take a certain comfort level with being comfortable with not knowing, but being willing to figure it out.
And I love that, to be uncomfortable, but also like to not do anything that's been done before, to not try to repeat. I think that's such a precious, statement. And in fact, as a matter of fact, behind my neck, I'm full of tattoo, but behind my neck, there is a tattoo that reads Panta Rei. Panta Rei is a Latin saying for you can't get wet into the same river twice. But I try to twist this statement for myself, remind me that to not try to do the same thing twice. And your words resonate with me greatly. So thank you so much, man. Third question. The sea is calling, I must go, is one of the most common phrases among sailors and ocean crosser. We creative are constantly on the move, changing boats, embarking on new journey, and crossing boundaries. Now, was ever a job opportunity that was presented to you that felt like a true calling, that felt like I had to go?
Probably the best example of that was my choice to go join Chobani. So I was a longtime agency guy. I had worked at big agencies, small agencies, independent agencies, holding company agencies, in LA, in New York. I had kind of seen and done the agency experience, I think, as much as it could be done. And so when Chobani came calling, it was an amazing opportunity to get a different perspective on this business that I had learned so well from a very specific point of view. So to go in-house at a brand, to really understand marketing and not just advertising, which is a subset, and to learn about a company and a culture that was pretty incredible. And I still remember one of the times I went over to interview, I met a woman at the front desk. And I was so impressed with her knowledge of the company and of the brand. And I kept thinking to myself, if everyone in any given company knew the company as well as this woman did, every company would be so much better off. And so it was a very different choice to make at that point in my career. I think the obvious path would have probably kept me in an agency. But I, had this incredible opportunity, and I think the adventure was one that felt like a very natural calling.
This is a great answer because it's very helpful for young kids that start in advertising, especially Europe, to understand that there is not just one path for them. There are many paths, and they need to push themselves to embrace the unknown and the uncomfortable sides, and trying to walk many different paths. Don't constrain themselves into just one direction. So thank you. This was very helpful. Talking about Chobani, you built an in-house agency that was listed on the advertising agency list in 2019. And your work on Chobani, it was extremely beautiful and unique. You achieved everything that could have possibly achieved in that industry. Now, they say that there are no regrets in the ocean because the waves come and wipe everything away. But was there anything that was left on the table that you say, man, I wish I would have done that before leaving, like the experience that turned out to be one of the biggest in your career?
Well, that's a big one. I can honestly say that I don't think there is. And I feel that's the reason that I was comfortable leaving Chobani to start my company now, Kin. It was an incredible experience, you know, to be able to go and be a part of building from the ground up, essentially an agency, and having that agency be the catalyst for a lot of change within the company. You know, we weren't just making packaging and design. We were really helping the company see itself as much bigger than yogurt, which is what the company made at the time. And now, you know, the company makes lots of things, including yogurt, and has and continues, I'm sorry, to have a really big impact in the world. So I feel, you know, maybe this is a bad answer, but I feel pretty satisfied with what we did there, and I don't have any regrets.
No, man, there's no bad answer. And honestly, when I was penning down this question, um, I thought about it. Like I thought, like I wonder how Kwame is gonna answer this question, because to have regrets is always like kind of like a negative connotation. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you know, it's like you wish you don't have any regrets in life because they're heavy on you. So
Yeah.
I'm actually happy to hear these words from you, because it means that a chapter was closed in the most beautiful way and a new chapter began. So that's great, man.
Yeah, and again, it's not to say that everything was perfect, because, you know, I think that
Sure.
would not be true. But I feel like, and maybe this is also how I approach life. You have to be ready to, you have to know when you're ready to make a change, and then you have to make the change and move forward. You know, there's no benefit to looking back in that way.
Definitely, man. Definitely. That's great. Many scientists say that we know more about the outer space than we know about the ocean. The depth of the ocean is one of the most unexplored territory that we have. Down there, life is a mystery. Now, talking about creative industry, like you've been like in the creative industry for quite a while, but is there anything that still feels like a mystery to you that you haven't figured it out yet?
Oh man, I think the simple answer to that question is a lot.
I love that.
A lot.
A lot. It's enough, man. That's great. A lot.
Yeah, you know, I think the process of creativity and of, you know, coming up with ideas and protecting them and manifesting them out in the world. There's so much about it that is unexplained still. And, you know, I think a lot of people would say sometimes it's a bit intuitive, but you don't really know, you know, how to make it a structured, repeatable process. I think if anyone had figures that out, they need to let me know, first of all. But then I think the industry would probably be a lot less interesting than it is, you know?
You know, your words remind me of, you know, I had like Sir John Egarty as a guest. And one of the things that John was telling me was, you know, Simone is like, I still don't know where idea come from. Like, you know, sometimes I stop and wonder, like, how did that thing like hit me? Like, you know, and I think this is the magic of like, you know, being like in this industry, and like the beauty and the fascination of like doing this type of work. And so I think like I love the fact that among creatives, even if like we don't personally know each other, we all feel the same things. There is like a level of empathy and energy that run through us that make us like a true family. Thank you so much. The sixth question is this: the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean, they meet at Cape Horn. And these spots is very rugged because the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean have two different type of waters, so they don't easily mix. So when you go to these spots, you can actually see the line and of the mixing between the two waters. One is more blue, the other one is like a different color, but they also have different currents. So the atmosphere and the weather in this particular spots area is very, very stormy. This reminds me a little bit of like when someone starts something like yourself. You start an amazing company called Kin, but you start with someone else and you had to smooth the corner. You had to like find a way to mix your water with their water. So was it difficult to do that? Was it natural? Tell me a little bit more about that.
This is a really good one, and you have to tell me exactly where this place is because I'll have to
Yeah,
visit it.
so this place is in Cape Horn, and is like the lowest point of Tierra del Fuego. And after this, I'm gonna send you the picture because it's amazing. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I've never been there, but that's on my checklist for sure.
It's now on my checklist too. So I feel really lucky because sometimes you meet people and you have this very natural kind of chemistry and kinship and vibe, and that's definitely how things felt when Sophie and I met. I think, you know, she's a French woman, and I think you'd look at us and think we are actually very different, but we grew up in a similar way. You know, we both grew up mostly overseas and mostly in Africa. And we also saw the world in a very similar way. So we were connected because we were both partners at an agency called Sid Lee in New York. And we ended up actually becoming office mates. And I think that's when our sort of friendship kind of grew, and we realized, you know, in addition to working really, really well together, that we also, you know, had a good amount in common, and became friends. So starting Kin was really easy in a way, because the hardest part of it, figuring out how to start the company, what perspective the company should have, and who to partner with, was kind of already baked in. So I realized not everyone has that luxury, I guess, but I feel super fortunate because, you know, we were already friends, and had been talking for a few years actually about doing something together. And I think we just got to the point where everything kind of came together, and it made it make a lot of sense for us to embark on the journey of launching and growing this company.
That's great, man. That's awesome to hear that. And I wish you both the best. And like, you know, it's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful story of empathy and connection. Last question is the question that we ask like to all our guests. If there was a wind that blow your sail, what would the name be?
Wow, this is a good one. So I want to make sure I'm answering the question right. I want to make sure I'm understanding your intention right. Yeah. Is this a headwind or a tailwind?
It's up to you, my man. Like, you know, it's funny because a lot of like people, they make that distinction, headwind, tailwind. I just want to know if there was a wind, something that moves you, that move your sail, what would be the name of this wind?
So I think the tailwind would be fear.
Okay.
Sorry, the headwind rather. I apologize. The headwind would be fear. I think being able to overcome kind of your fears and chase your dreams, to me, is a very big part of life. And regardless of how realistic they are, what anyone thinks, I think you've got to be able to get over that and then go after what you really want. And I think, you know, for me, the headwind would be passion. I think it's important for you to, sorry, the tailwind would be, I keep getting them confused. The tailwind would be passion.
Got it.
And yeah, it's important for you to do what you love. And if you don't love it, And I think this is just a life thing too. If you don't love it, just like don't do it.
Right.
And it sounds very simplistic, and I know not everyone has the luxury in every area of their life to be able to do this, but I think the more that you do that, full and the more fulfilled you will be as a human, you know?
Man, I can't be like more thankful that's like, I mean, you here, it was awesome. Your answer were like extremely on point, and like it was a good discovery to get to know you a little bit, to cross your ocean. And first of all, thank you for letting me do that, and thank you for being on board the Atlantic.
Hey man, my pleasure. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for even thinking to invite me to be a part of it. I'm super honored.
Bye bye, man.
All right, have a good one.
Thank you.